My girlfriend, who I had been in love with for 10 years, finally agreed to my proposal. I was so happy that I drank 2 more glasses of wine at the engagement party. She, who was always gentle and elegant, suddenly seemed like a different person. She scolded me for not knowing the rules and kicked me out of the car when I was drunk. I endured the headache and walked alone on the street for 3 hours in the middle of the night. When I got home, I saw her hugging Harold in our wedding room and talking to her. I regret it. As long as you are willing to come back to me, I am willing to do everything for you. Seeing her gentle and patient appearance toward Harold, I suddenly felt regretful. In order to prevent her from regretting the marriage, I ran away on the wedding day. No one expected that after I left, the usually noble and aloof woman actually looked for me all over the world like crazy. The window of the wedding room reflected 2 familiar figures. It could be seen that they were hugging each other tightly at this moment. I kicked off the leather shoes on my feet. This pair of shoes was an engagement gift from Audrey. I liked it very much, but it was a size too small and my feet were bleeding all the way. So now, I would rather walk barefoot than wear it anymore. I called the familiar overseas number. Dad, I'm not getting married. I want to find you. Dad was silent for a moment before saying, okay. Dad is old and this family business will be left to you sooner or later. If you come earlier, you can adapt earlier. I choked up and responded. I heard a sigh from the other end of the phone. I thought that child was different. I didn't expect that he would still follow the old path of me and your mother. Dad continued. Chase, don't cry. You are still young. A man's world is not just about marriage and children. You can also have your own career. Think it over. Dad will wait for you. Before tonight, I also thought Audrey was different. She was a strong woman, but she was clean, gentle and polite. She kept a polite distance from all the boys, except me. Even after her career was successful, there was no scandal. Until tonight's engagement party, she saw Harold, who came uninvited. The first time she lost her temper and broke a wine glass. The first time she got angry at me for a trivial matter and left me alone on the roadside. If Audrey had seen someone else, I would have thought that everything might have been a misunderstanding. I would be willing to give Audrey another chance. I would be willing to spend another 10 or 20 years with her without asking for anything in return. But the man in the room was Harold. It was Harold who bullied me for more than 20 years, and it was Harold who took away everything from me. It was Harold whom I could never forgive. Until tonight's engagement party, she saw Harold, who came uninvited. The first time she lost her temper and broke a wine glass. The first time she got angry at me for a trivial matter and left me alone on the roadside. If Audrey had seen someone else, I would have thought that everything might have been a misunderstanding. I would be willing to give Audrey another chance. I would be willing to spend another 10 or 20 years with her without asking for anything in return. But the man in the room was Harold. It was Harold who bullied me for more than 20 years, and it was Harold who took away everything from me. It was Harold whom I could never forgive. The moment I saw Audrey take Harold home on her own initiative, I completely gave up on this woman in my heart. But for some reason, my hand still turned on the surveillance at home, uncontrollably. In the surveillance, Harold was lying in our wedding room in my pajamas. Audrey, who never did housework, disliked me for drinking and was unself-respecting, took the initiative to go to the kitchen to cook him a hangover soup. Harold looked up and asked her, a substitute. You really married him? Audrey didn't answer, but bent down to rub Harold's feet. You don't need to tell me. I know that you did all this just to be angry with me. You held an engagement party just to force me to show up. You can't forget me at all. This room is decorated in the style I like. The wedding ring you chose is also the style I like. The cake has our initials on it. Even the shoes on his feet are the ones I want. Harold put his feet on Audrey's chest. In fact, it has always been me that you love. Audrey still said nothing. After a moment of silence, she suddenly threw herself into Harold's arms. Using a passionate kiss, she expressed her full love. Seeing this, I was already in tears. I remembered that we had been in love for 10 years. Every time I was emotional and wanted to kiss her, she would turn her head away indifferently. I thought she was shy. Unexpectedly, she just gave the most passionate love to Harold. For 10 years, she and I shared the same bed, loving each other deeply. But in my heart, I remained faithful to my Audrey. I took a deep breath and prepared to take a taxi to leave. I didn't know when Audrey came downstairs and called my name. Seeing me turn around, she subconsciously let go of Harold's hand. Harold drank too much tonight. He is your friend. I was worried that he would be unsafe walking on the road alone, so I brought him home. He is a good man with a sense of propriety. He was afraid that you would misunderstand, so he insisted on leaving first. Audrey, who was taciturn, seemed to have endless words to say when she mentioned Harold, and every sentence was defending him. I looked at the woman in front of me and suddenly felt strange. Obviously, I was her childhood sweetheart who grew up with her. Obviously, I was her fiancé who had been with her for 10 years and starting a business. Why, in the end, I became a substitute? I suppressed my heartache and took a deep breath. He is not my friend. He is just a bastard born by a mistress. After hearing what I said, Audrey suddenly became angry. Chase, how could you say such vicious words to Harold? Apologize to Harold quickly. No wonder you were abandoned by your parents since you were young. No wonder everyone dislikes you. I hate your sarcastic look. You deserve no one to love you. Seemingly afraid that I would hurt Harold, Audrey knocked me to the side of the road and protected him. The gentle moonlight sprinkled on Audrey's face. That nervous look overlapped with the little figure in my memory. Many, many years ago, when we were still children, Audrey also protected me like this. At that time, my mother cheated and got pregnant with someone else's child. In order to be with the bastard, she forced my father to divorce. My father went abroad in anger and I became a superfluous existence in the family. Every time Audrey heard us quarreling next door, she would rush over to protect me. She said, Chase, you are the best person in the world. Even if no one wants you, I will love you forever and ever. When I grew up, I always kept Audrey's words in my heart. I worked hard to make money, wanting to get rid of my bad family of origin and build a happy family in my heart with her. But when I mentioned this, she always frowned. She said indifferently, that was just children's words. And now, Harold appeared. She didn't even say such euphemistic words to me. She only used you deserve no one to love you to pierce the most painful wound in my heart. I turned my head away and didn't want to look at her again. But my eyes couldn't help but redden. Audrey's eyes trembled slightly. I didn't know if she realized that she had said too much or noticed my bleeding feet. She sighed and said, tonight I will treat you as drunken nonsense and in the future, there will be no future. I said lightly, what? Audrey didn't understand and wanted to continue asking, but suddenly saw Harold running away in tears. She no longer cared about the questions in her heart and hurriedly chased after him. She walked too fast and didn't notice that the star necklace in her pocket fell off. I picked up the necklace on the ground and thought of the small star tattoo on Audrey's left chest. All the details that I ignored were connected at this moment. Childhood sweethearts couldn't resist the gift of heaven. The so-called 10 years of love was just my wishful thinking. In this case, there was no need for me to struggle for an unworthy woman. When I turned around and went home, I received a message from my father. He booked a flight abroad for me. The time was exactly half a month later, the day of our wedding. The wedding countdown in the living room had now become my departure countdown. I smiled bitterly and threw away all the wedding room decorations and couple supplies. God's will was to use this last half month to say goodbye to everything in my past. After daybreak, I was woken up by the ringing of Audrey's cell phone. Chase, are you awake? I ordered your favorite soup dumplings for you. I won't go back today. There's something urgent at the company. Let's take the wedding photos another day. You don't have to worry about what happened last night. I apologize to Harold for you. Okay. Audrey didn't expect me to agree so readily. A little embarrassed, she added, the wedding is just a face-saving project. We have such a good relationship that we don't need to use these to prove anything. Just keep it simple. Okay, keep it simple. There was no marriage certificate, no wedding photos, no MC and no groom at this wedding. After hanging up the phone, I used a marker to cross out the wedding photo schedule on the calendar. Audrey was very busy at work and didn't have time to accompany me, so I wrote down all the things I wanted to do most on the calendar. I wanted to take advantage of the time of marriage to realize all my wishes at once. Unfortunately, each wish was covered by thick markers. It became an unspeakable regret. I no longer put my mind on Audrey. After submitting my resignation to the company, I met with a few colleagues who were on good terms and said goodbye. In the next few days, I contacted my friends one after another and told them the news of the cancellation of the wedding. Actually, we all guessed it. My friend opened Audrey's Instagram story and showed it to me. During this period, Audrey has been with Harold. People who are not familiar with him think that the person in her Instagram story is you, but we recognized it at a glance. Audrey, who had never posted a photo of me, now had Harold's back in her Instagram story. They went to the amusement park to relax, went to the wedding shop to try on dresses, went to the beach to drink and watched the sunrise. Her love for Harold was open and generous, but she blocked me. My friend looked at me with some concern. Chase, don't be too sad. Harold is not worthy of you. If Audrey knew Harold's true face, she would regret it. It's okay. I don't care anymore. I looked at the busy streets. In a few days, I would leave here forever. I didn't have extra time and energy to be sad for Audrey. So when Audrey who had not returned for many days, appeared. I still had no reaction. After returning, her hands kept replying to messages and she looked around casually. Why is the house empty? Didn't you decorate it? Don't you tell me to keep everything simple? Audrey was speechless and her eyes fell on the countdown 7. Time flies so fast. Our wedding will be in a week. I tore off 2 pages and said, our wedding will be in 5 days. The wishes written on these 2 pages were ride the Ferris wheel together and watch the sunrise and sunset together. But Audrey would never notice anything about me. At this time, my father called and I went to the balcony to chat briefly. When I came back, Audrey was still looking at her phone and asked, what's the matter? I seem to have heard something about visas. Nothing. It's about work. Okay. Don't prepare any honeymoon trips. I'm too busy and don't have time to go. I know. After Harold came back, she couldn't bear to be separated from Harold for a moment. Seeing that the atmosphere was a little awkward, I gave the star necklace to Audrey. Her calm eyes lit up instantly. I had been looking for it for a long time. I know. I saw the high-priced lost item post you posted on the internet. It said, $496. Looking for an old star necklace. Meanwhile, the total cost of our wedding was only $28,099. I looked at Audrey and suddenly asked, where's your wedding ring? She was stunned for a moment and then looked at her bare fingers belatedly. I don't know when I lost it. Audrey wanted to explain, but another message came on her phone. It was Harold's exclusive notification tone. She took a look, stood up and kissed me on the forehead. I'm sorry, husband. I've been too busy recently, so I'll leave the wedding to you. After this busy period, I promise to make you the happiest man in the world. The taciturn Audrey suddenly spoke sweet words. If it were in the past, I would definitely be touched and happy. I felt that I had warmed up the iceberg. But now, I just washed my face with disdain and continued to be busy with my own things. Time passed by little. Soon, it was the day before the wedding. The corresponding wish on the calendar was have a reunion dinner together. This was my biggest wish for more than 20 years. But I also knew that this wish would never come true. Dad would not forgive Mom. I would not forgive Audrey either. I went to ride the Ferris wheel by myself and watched the sunset on the Ferris wheel. The sunset covered the city where I grew up and all the memories seemed to have dissipated in the evening breeze. And Harold posted a new status. The whole family was having dinner. Mom smiled as she watched Audrey pick up food for her. The caption read, both parents met to discuss the final wedding details. I wasn't angry. I just found it funny. Whose wedding? Mine. Or Harold's? I blocked, deleted Harold and wanted to say something to Audrey. I edited it for a long time but didn't send it out. Just when I was about to go home, Audrey called me. Where are you? Why aren't you home? Send me your location. I miss you. Audrey arrived very quickly. After getting in the car, I found that there was an extra basketball pillow on the passenger seat. I moved it away and saw a box of unsealed condoms. After hesitating for a while, I chose to sit in the back seat. Audrey's eyes were still fixed on the phone and she didn't notice my abnormality. She said casually, why did you think of playing in the amusement park? Have you finished the wedding matters? Almost. I remember you always wanted to ride the Ferris wheel. When I'm free, I'll accompany you to have a good time. I didn't want to disturb you today, but my mother wanted to see you. In Audrey's eyes, the wedding was my business alone. She would only think of me when she needed me. I didn't answer. My eyes were sore and I felt uncomfortable in the wind. When we arrived at the old house, there was only a table of leftovers. My mother was chatting with Randolph. Catherine took my hand enthusiastically. Chase, I really like you. Although you don't make much, you are simple and family-oriented, unlike those men who are full of tricks. When she said this, she glanced at Harold. Although Audrey can find a better one with her conditions, I also advise her to cherish it. After all, not all men are willing to marry into the family. But you are not young anymore. Don't work after marriage. Have a child as soon as possible and stay at home to take care of Audrey in the future. I responded perfunctorily for a few words and when I looked up again, Audrey had already come to Harold. She brought the groom's suit and the best man's suit for us to try on. I know you are busy, so I let Harold choose. His vision has always been better than yours. The yellowed second-hand suit had a big tear. Harold, wearing a white haute couture suit, looked more like a groom. Audrey was a little anxious. It must be the store's mistake. It has nothing to do with Harold. It's just that it's too late to change it now. I'll think of a solution tomorrow. It doesn't matter. I calmly wanted to take off my coat. Harold suggested taking a group photo. He squeezed me to the edge and stood beside Audrey. At the moment, when the shutter was pressed, he tripped me again. In the end, there was only a blurry figure whose face could not be seen clearly. Audrey said she wanted to retake the photo. I smiled and said, Let's talk about it later. It's getting late. The wish to take a group photo together had long been crossed out by me. Harold said sorry to me with red eyes. Chase, don't be angry and embarrass Audrey. Even if I run all over the city tonight, I will find you a satisfactory suit. As he said that, he ran out crying. Audrey glared at me and chased after him. I just felt bored and left alone with the tattered suit. Anyway, everything would be over tomorrow. After returning, I counted my luggage for the last time. I was busy until the early morning and I didn't expect to find Audrey's diary. The diary recorded how Audrey met Harold in a youth hostel a few years ago when she was at her lowest point. The most critical pages were torn off. Only one sentence was left. That was the happiest time of my life. The following books were one after another. All of them were telling of their nostalgia for Harold. On the day she agreed to my proposal, she wrote in her diary, I was young and ignorant and I mistook mud and sand for stars and missed the only love of my life. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't turn Chase into a star. The past cannot be pursued. For the sake of the stars, I will treat Chase well. Her handwriting was elegant and beautiful. Every stroke seemed to be engraved in my heart. The falling tears blurred the words on the diary. I looked up at the gifts Audrey gave me over the years. From watches, sports cars and high-end fashion. From dolls, milk tea and game consoles. Without exception, all of them were what Harold liked. Looking at myself in the mirror again, with short hair and gray sweater, I looked like a magnified version of Harold. I thought Audrey and I were childhood sweethearts and had been together for 10 years. There was always some friendship between us, but she clearly witnessed with her own eyes the harm Harold had caused me over the years, but she still chose to believe him. She clearly knew that the person I hated the most in my life was Harold, but she still chose to make me his substitute. The feeling of grievance and anger hit my heart. I broke the mirror in front of me and shaved off the hair that I carefully groomed every day. After doing all this, I tore off the last page of the calendar. My last wish was written on it. Hold the most grand wedding and marry my beloved Audrey. Now, the wedding had been ruined. The person I once loved the most had also changed beyond recognition. I crumpled the paper and threw it away. I took a taxi to the airport alone without taking anything. At 12 noon, the moment I sat down, Audrey called. There was a hint of crying in her voice. Chase, where have you been? The beep sounded that the plane was about to take off. I didn't answer, turned off the phone, leaned on the seat and fell asleep. Maybe it was because there were too many things happening during this period and it was too tiring. I had been suffering from insomnia for a long time, but I actually slept well on the plane. But in the dream, I could still see Audrey's face. When I was 7 years old, we played house together. She said she was the bride and I was the most handsome groom. When we were 18, we established a relationship. She said she would make a lot of money, give me the grandest wedding and build the happiest family. When did our feelings begin to change? Was it after Harold appeared? Or earlier? I couldn't remember. Audrey almost filled my entire first half of life. No matter how I kept calm, putting her down was a gnawing pain for me. After getting off the plane, I didn't even have the courage to turn on my phone. Chase, Dad waved to me among a group of blonde foreigners. I had not seen him for decades. He was no longer the man in my memory, crying on the sofa waiting for my mother to come home. He was old, but more dazzling than when he was young. You've grown so big. Dad kept touching my face and saying sorry over and over again. I threw myself into his arms. Dad, I don't blame you. You told me that men must have their own dignity. Instead of waiting to be loved, it is better to love yourself first. Dad 20 years ago and me 20 years later, they all made the same choice. Chase, Audrey called me. Dad wiped the tears from my face, but his own tears fell first. Dad, I still say the same thing. No matter what choice you make, I will support you. My phone was densely packed with calls and text messages from Audrey. Before I had time to finish reading, a new phone call came. Chase. Audrey's voice trembled with relief. I had never seen her look so nervous. I couldn't understand why Harold still cared so much about me as a substitute now that she was back to him. Chase, have you read my diary? That's not true. There is nothing between Harold and I. I just treat him as a younger brother. You must be very sad. I saw the tears you left in your diary. I admit that I have been too neglectful of you during this period, but I never wanted to hurt you. I was in a daze. Audrey, I know you married me because of pressure from your elders, so I chose to leave to make things possible for you and Harold. What else are you unhappy about? Why are you crying? In Audrey's diary, Harold was a gleam of light in her downtrodden years. It was the most colorful moment in her life. I completely forgot about that time. How much effort had I made to get her to make a comeback? While she and Harold were enjoying the best time in their lives, it was me who used all my savings to fill her shortfall. It was me who went door to door to find partners and knelt down and kowtowed to them. It was me who drank and socialized day and night until I had stomach bleeding. She didn't remember anything. She only remembered that Harold gave her an amazing and haunting experience. She tattooed Harold on her chest and lied to me that she wanted to remember those miserable years to encourage herself. In fact, the only thing she wanted to remember was the passionate Harold. Now, she got her wish and found the only love in her life. Why did she start to miss me again? Chase. You ran away from marriage to get back at me, right? You have me in heart. You love me so much. You complained about my neglect of you during this period. So you did this on purpose. She continued. It doesn't matter. I will forgive you. Chase. No matter what you do, I will forgive you. I was dumbfounded and for a moment I didn't know what to say in reply. When I was young and ignorant, I also had a temper. I cried, made trouble and ran away from home. But no matter what I did, Audrey would just watch with cold eyes. She wouldn't coax me or scold me. He just looked at me as if nothing was wrong and looked at me sadly, waiting for me to take the initiative to bow my head and admit my mistake. I thought that was her character. Unexpectedly, she knew everything. She grew up with me and knew me inside and out. I was convinced that I loved her and couldn't live without her. With my love, she was confident. She didn't expect that I would suddenly leave so decisively. All of this was beyond her control. She was scared, afraid of losing me forever. After thinking about all this, the last bit of nostalgia I had for Audrey disappeared in an instant. Audrey, I am very grateful to you for the tenderness you gave me during the saddest time in my life. I continued. For this, I am willing to forgive you for all the harm you have done to me. Escape from marriage is not my revenge. It is my choice. From now on, I have no love or hatred for you. I hope that we can be well and never see each other again. After saying all this, I added Audrey's number to the blacklist. I raised my head and smiled at my father, but for some reason, the tears just kept falling. I couldn't tell whether I was happy or sad. Dad patted me on the shoulder. It's all over. Dad will take care of you, and let us welcome a new life together. Dad's welcome party was very special. He spent a few days to arrange everything for me. Then he took me to the biggest bar. Deafening music, high concentration of alcohol. Under the double stimulation, all the irritability and depression in my heart seemed to be thrown away at this moment. In the second half, Dad was exhausted, so he arranged for a few bodyguards to take care of me and went home to rest. I was partying all night and then I staggered out with the help of the bodyguards. In a daze, I seemed to see a familiar figure. She walked toward me quickly. The double images overlapped and I saw clearly that it was Audrey's face. She said, Chase, come home with me. I'll talk to my parents and I'll explain to relatives and friends. No one will blame you. She continued, as long as you're willing to come back with me, I'll forgive you for running away from marriage and cheating. I'll help you arrange everything and we'll start over. I swear, I'll treat you well and never let you down or be sad again. The place where she just stood was covered with cigarette butts. I didn't know when she came here, let alone how long she stayed here. I was just surprised at her shamelessness. Audrey, why do you think I need your forgiveness? Audrey took a few more puffs of cigarette and her eyes turned red. I saw you dancing with a white woman in a bikini. If this isn't cheating, what is it? Chase, I love you, so I'm willing to forgive you. If you lose me, you won't find a better woman than me. I couldn't help but laugh and said, have you forgotten that we've broken up? In Audrey's eyes, her kiss with Harold after the engagement wasn't considered cheating. When I was in the hospital for her, she missed Harold, which was not cheating. She made me a substitute for Harold, which was not cheating. And I just went to a bar after breaking up and I became a betrayer who was intolerable to heaven and earth. It was really ridiculous. I didn't want to pay attention to Audrey and wanted to leave, but she chased me regardless. Chase, we both made mistakes because of unintentional mistakes. Why can't we forgive each other and continue to live a good life? She continued. We have known each other for more than 20 years and have been together for 10 years. Can you really forget it just like that? She wanted to come over and hold hand, but was stopped by the two bodyguards beside me. I didn't look back and spoke calmly. I can forget it. You can forget everything about us when you meet Harold and I can do the same. I continued. Go back. Be with Harold or anyone else. Don't bother me anymore. I am moving forward and looking forward. Unlike you, who will always only care about the things behind you. Audrey didn't want to leave. She gave up her domestic company and insisted on staying with me despite anyone's dissuasion. Harold even chased after me for this. He found me angrily. Chase, What a good trick. You actually used running away to attract her attention. Don't think you won. I will always find a way to get her back to me. I looked at Harold quietly. He took away my mother, my happy life, all my friends and lovers. He wanted to take away everything I had, whether he really liked it or not. I used to hate Harold and his father, but now, looking at him, I felt extremely sad. There was no love in their world. There was only endless fighting. They regarded all men as imaginary enemies and trashed women as victories. They completely forgot that there was a wider world outside after leaving those women. It's up to you. You'd better take her back to Hare's as soon as possible so that I can have a few days of peace. Harold was stunned for a moment, throwing the blank pages of the diary over to me. What are you so proud of? She loves me. He described everything he and Audrey had done during that time in great detail. All the wishes I had longed for in my life were just ordinary daily life for him. Audrey, who was serious in front of others, could show her wildest and unrestrained side in front of him. I was too lazy to watch. What was it? It was just desire. Audrey only loved herself. Turning around, I found that Audrey appeared behind me without knowing when. She looked much more haggard. She was not as exquisitely dressed and meticulous as before. Her hair was messy and her eyes were full of bloodshot. She was still wearing the clothes I had bought for her. She suddenly rushed to Harold and slapped him hard. Shut up. I won't let you sow discord between me and Chase. I've investigated everything. You don't love me at all. You deliberately seduced me to hurt Chase, she continued. That day in the youth hostel, you didn't work and study. You eloped with a little girl. You couldn't stand the hard life, so you ran away. You lied to me from beginning to end. It's you who made me lose Chase. He is the best and the person who loves me the most in the world. Harold covered his face in disbelief. Audrey turned to look at me again. Chase, you know everything about him. Why didn't you tell me? Why did you watch me being deceived? I was speechless. If I tell you, will you listen? You will only think I'm jealous. Besides, we grew up together. Don't you really know what kind of person Harold is? I continued. You covet his body, but you are unwilling to take responsibility. Audrey, you are really a beast in human clothing that makes me sick. Maybe I scolded her too harshly. Since then, Audrey had been quiet for a long time. Harold didn't have the face to continue shouting in front of me. I joined the company run by my father and became familiar with various businesses little by little. After work, I had dinner and chatted with my colleagues. Life was peaceful and warm. Just when I thought my life was on the right track, an accident happened. I found someone following me on my way home from overtime. That section of the road was deserted and the street lights flickered. I was afraid that calling the police rashly would alarm the other party, so I was careful to stay calm. When we passed a bush, she suddenly rushed over and hugged me from behind. I was so scared that I was out of my mind and trembled all over. Don't hurt me. I can give you all the money on me. She didn't say anything but kept holding my hand tightly as if she was afraid that I would run away. At this time, the street light flashed. I followed the flickering light and saw the star tattoo on her chest. I said in disbelief, Audrey? Instantly, her whole body stiffened. I pushed her away with force and after seeing her face clearly, I slapped her with all my strength. Audrey, what do you want to do to me? You are worse than an animal. Her face turned red instantly, but she was not angry. She just held my hand and blew it carefully. Chase, I won't hurt you and I don't want to hurt you. I just want to take you home. I avoided Audrey's touch with disgust. For so many years, I knew that she was stubborn and serious and she wouldn't turn back until she hit the wall. But I never thought that she would be so paranoid and so crazy. I almost collapsed against the wall, my body trembling with fear. Audrey came forward again. Chase, look at how dangerous the world outside is. Can you come back to me? She continued. Men also need protection. I will protect you and I will break up with Harold. In fact, I have never loved him. I just suppressed it for too long and was confused for a while. I didn't know whether he loved me or not. I only knew that Audrey liked to play a passionate role. She claimed to be infatuated and completely disregarded the other person's feelings. I covered my pounding chest. Audrey, never appear next to me. If it happens again, I will shoot directly. After calming down, I sent a message to my father, briefly telling him what happened and asking him to pick me up home. Until now, my calves were weak and I couldn't walk a step. Audrey looked at me helplessly like a child who did something wrong and wanted to say something several times but stopped. I didn't know how long it took, but my father came, bringing a bunch of police. Audrey was arrested. She didn't resist at all, but just looked at me silently. There seemed to be a lot of reluctance in her eyes. Dad insisted on putting Audrey in jail. Finally, Mom and all the Dawson family members came to negotiate. They first begged for mercy and then started cursing. They scolded me for being shameless and running away from marriage for no reason. They scolded me for being cruel and heartless and wanting to put my former lover in jail. Only at this time, Audrey, who had been silent all the time, would speak out to refute. It's all my fault. It has nothing to do with Chase. I deserve it. I am greedy and I don't know how to cherish. She continued. I regret it. I really regret it. Chase, I dare not ask for your forgiveness. I only ask you not to forget me. Mom also wanted to come over to beg for mercy, but after seeing Dad's cold eyes, she lowered her head. During this period, she kept looking at Dad with her peripheral vision. I guessed she probably regretted it too. There were always some things that needed to be lost to prove their preciousness. For some people, what they couldn't get and what they would lose forever were the best. Finally, after many negotiations, Audrey paid compensation and was repatriated. Before leaving, she asked me, will we meet again? Never. She suddenly burst into tears. In front of everyone, she cried bitterly and was at a loss. Why is this happening? Chase, you have been with me for too long. So long that I thought you would never leave me. So long that I thought you would forgive me no matter what I did. She continued. I never thought that one day you would leave quietly, nor did I think that I would lose you forever. After you left, I realized that the whole world was different. I didn't want to hurt you. I just couldn't resist the temptation. After waking up, I knew that I would not choose Harold, but I couldn't bear Harold's unrestrainedness, so I wanted to make you look like him. She continued again. I thought that in this way, I could have both of you at the same time, but I forgot. She forgot that there was only one Chase in the world. Whether good or bad, he was a unique existence. I couldn't tolerate anything in my eyes and would not be willing to be a substitute. My father and I were ready to go home. Audrey behind me was still talking. I saw the wish list you wrote on the calendar. Why have we been together for so long? But we haven't done these ordinary little things? Apart from that blurry photo, I can't even find a photo of us together. She continued. We haven't been to the amusement park together and we haven't had a good meal together. We have known each other for 20 years and have been in love for 10 years. Now when I think back, every little bit is regretful. I'm so stupid. I should have realized that I was blinded by desire. This time, I thought that even if I couldn't take you home, it would be good to make up for some regrets. I didn't expect it to turn out like this. She said sadly, Chase, will you still forgive me? Audrey's voice seemed to be extremely sad, but I still didn't look back.